Okay, before we move on with the stop signs and the street lamps, I'm going to take my whiteout pen and I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the lines that I'm going to have to end up erasing. So let me zoom in a little bit. So you're going to be able to easily do this with your pencil, but I would have to go back with my whiteout pen and get rid of some of these connecting lines because I really don't need them. Some of the lines where I went over and I should have stopped. Go back over them with the whiteout. So before you go any further, go ahead and start erasing those extra lines, because if you get to the end of your project and you have all those extra lines, it's going to be a lot to erase. So maybe try to erase as you go. So this line I'm not going to need anymore. Another one of the major lines that you can get rid of is your horizon line, especially the part that goes through your house. Unless you're planning on keeping it as a design, but you really don't need it. Unless you're going to use it as like trim or something like that. So you can go ahead and get rid of this line. Because your house isn't see-through, you're not going to be able to see your horizon line through your house. Although this part of your horizon line, you can keep it. Oh wow, you can't even see that. So this part of your horizon line, you can keep it. Don't erase it because we might need it a little bit later if we want to add in other things to our drawing. So do not erase this line and do not erase your opposite side. Don't erase this one either. I saw a couple papers where people had already erased those lines. Leave it. If it's going straight through your house, that's different. Like this green line I can get rid of. This red line I can get rid of. Basically anything that's drawn through your house that you're not going to need anymore, you can erase. Other than our outline of our house and our windows, those things you need to keep. Those are the important parts. You can actually get rid of this line up here, this red line. Okay, I think that's all I'm going to erase for right now, just to give you guys an idea of what lines you're not going to need anymore. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and start adding in some street lights. Street sign and then street lights. So my stop sign is going to be on the street corner, right? So this is where my curb is at, the corner curb. I'm going to add in a stop sign there. And like I was telling you guys in class, if you're driving down this road, stop signs are usually on the right side of the street. So if you're driving down this way, your stop sign's going to be here. So first thing I'm going to do is on my sidewalk ground, I'm going to draw a oval, and that's going to be where my stop sign is coming out from. So I'm going to line up my ruler with my vertical line, and I'm going to have to make my stop sign parallel to that. But I'm also have to take into account, this is going to be the back side of my stop sign. So I'm going to outline it with black a little bit so you guys can see it a little bit better. So down here I'm going to do a curved line because my stop sign is a pole. And when it goes into the ground, it's going to be a curved shape where it gets cut off. And then my actual stop sign, like we said in class, the shape of a stop sign is an octagon. It has 8 sides. I'm going to have the bottom of my stop sign and the top of my stop sign connect to my vanishing point. So first thing, I'm going to decide how tall do I want my stop sign to be. I'm going to connect it to my right vanishing point. Let's say I want it to be about yay high. So I'm going to do a diagonal line there. And my stop sign is going to come a little bit below this part of my pole, because usually when the stop sign is connected to the pole, it connects in the back of it. So I'm going to make sure it's connected to my vanishing point, come down a little bit below where my pole starts, or where my pole ends. Do another diagonal line. Now that I think about it, it might have had to been at this angle. Anyways, so now I'm gonna come about somewhere in between this line and this line, and I'm gonna do a vertical parallel line, both sides of my stop sign. Then I'm going to connect these together to give myself that I think this one might need to be a little bit longer because it looks a little bit off. So now I have my stop sign. So this is actually the back of the stop sign, so you don't necessarily have to put the word stop on it, but you can if you want. You don't really need to. That's going to be the back side. So I would actually probably just color it in with a solid color. I'm going to color it in with just a pencil lead, so you can sort of get the idea that it's filled in. And I actually think on this one the angle is a little bit off, but don't worry too much about that. We're just practicing with our perspective a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so now we have our stop sign. So now we're gonna start adding in some street lights. In order to do that, I'm going to use my red again. So I'm gonna have to decide how tall do I want my street lights to be. We're gonna add some on the right side first and then the left. So usually street lights are a little bit taller than houses. So I'm gonna take my vanishing point. Let's say I'm gonna do a diagonal guideline. So this is gonna be where my my poles for my street lights stop and start to curve. So let's say I want to, again, I'm gonna do a guide dot. Let's say I'm gonna put a street light right in between these houses. So I'm gonna do guide dot, and then take my ruler, line it up so that it's vertical. And remember that diagonal line that I just put in, that's gonna be my guideline for my pole. So my pole is actually going to be from here to here. And then after that, I'm going to create a curve light. You can do, I've looked at some before, and some of them have sort of just like a straight diagonal. Some of them have a curve. You can do whichever ones you want. Of course, you're more familiar about whatever's in your neighborhood because you see it every day. So I'm going to add in some that are curved. But I'm going to use a pencil to do a a horizontal guideline, so I can make sure. So that's where my light's going to end. I'm going to do another red guideline to tell me where do my curves and my actual street lamps, like the actual light part, where is it gonna have to stop? I'm gonna do another guideline there. So I'm gonna add in a curve, and then it has to stop right there. And then this is where my actual light is gonna be. And then the curve for the rest of my lamp. So if I wanna add in a little bit of detail, I could do like the light fixture. Can actually come back, make that black so that it's a little bit more visible as a street lamp. So any other lights that we start to add in, as they go further down the street, they're also going to get shorter, right? They're gonna get smaller, shorter in the distance. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in one after my neighbor's house and make a dot on my sidewalk so I know where it's gonna start. Line up so I make sure it's vertical to one of the edges of the houses, the vertical lines of the house. And then the pole has to stop here because that's my vertical line to tell me where the pole stops. And then I'm gonna do the curve. My light's gonna be here. I'm gonna add in maybe one more before I fill it in with black. That one's gonna be really short. Okay, so now I have 3 of them. And I actually think this one should have maybe been further down, but I'm just gonna leave it, no big deal. And also think about how the actual pole is going to be thinner as you get further in the distance. So this one's gonna be a little bit thicker, a little bit wider, and as it gets further and further away, it's gonna become more thin. So same thing if we wanna add some some street lights in the left side, or on the left side. So I'm gonna add in a diagonal. Getting sleepy. I'm gonna add in a diagonal guideline. I could even do like if they're gonna do a cross section. So I'm gonna add in a diagonal line for this side of my house, for my street lamps. And let's say, add it in. Oops. I'm gonna add one in here. So I'm gonna take my ruler. Oops. And then add in my vertical line. So I'm lining it up with the edge of the house, and then add in my street lamp. Has to stop there, except how these curve this way, these are gonna curve the opposite way because they're both curving towards the street, right? Because they're emitting light onto the street. That's the whole reason we have street lights. So these are curving towards the street. So these are gonna have to curve out this way. So I'm gonna have to decide where those are gonna attach with the curve. So I'm gonna make a horizontal guideline. Let's see, I want it to come out a little bit more. Excuse me. And so when I do my curve, it's gonna end here, right? So I'm gonna have to create another red diagonal, and these are gonna be the guidelines to tell me where my light is gonna start and stop. The actual light socket, or the light bulbs are at. So that's gonna be there. So now I can go back and start adding in more detail, like how wide is my lamp gonna be. And then the curve, and then the actual light. And then for my next light, my lamp is gonna have to, the height of my lamp's gonna have to stop there, and then the curve is gonna come out to there. So I'm gonna do the same thing. Just gonna go ahead and do it in black. Let me see. I'm gonna do it at the end of the house, there. Since this is further away, it's gonna be thinner. And then the light's gonna come out this way and stop there. And then I can maybe add one more in further down. That one's gonna be really tiny. Barely even see it. And that's it. So now we have really nice neighborhood starting. Let me zoom out a little bit so you guys can see. So now we have our house, we have neighbor's house on either side, or apartments, and then we have a stop sign, and we have street lights going into the distance. We have street lights going into the distance this way. What if we want to make a street? If we want to make the opposite side of the street. So what you would do is your line would come out this way. And where it would come out this way. Let's do the left side first. So if we're making, let's say, oh, I'm on the corner of the street and I want to cross to the opposite side of the street. So you're going to decide how wide your street is going to be. Let's say it's going to be about that wide. And then it's just gonna go off the page. So I could actually build a house right here, or draw a house right here on this side if I wanted to. I could draw another sidewalk on the opposite side if I wanted to. So let's say I want to draw a sidewalk coming out this way. So for that, it would have to, again, connect to my right vanishing point for my lines. So I would probably line it up like this, and then this would be my guideline for those lines for that sidewalk.